We're coming in hot with inspiring guests, witty banter, and colorful commentary for today's veterans and military community. This is the Tango Alpha Lima podcast.
They call me crazy cause I'm facing all my giants. They try to scare me into thinking I can fight it. They tell me I should never even think of trying. But that's just me, I'm gonna live out in defiance.
Hello, Alphas. Welcome back to the Tango Alpha Lima experience. And I hope that you experience nothing but joy and other positive feelings from your time with us. And it probably won't come from me. It'll probably come from Ashley Gutermuth. Ashley, are you up for the task of inspiring joy?
Absolutely not.
Okay, good.
I want everyone to feel all of the things that I never feel, which is any emotion. Okay.
So unlike Holly, who told us before the show that she's not a robot, and you actually chimed in on that because I did a chat GPT summary that you're going to hear later today. I'm super excited today. I'm super excited because of our guest. I love our rapid fire. You're here wearing the insulated vest in 100-degree temperature. I mean, this is like the perfect storm of show goodness. I am filled with joy, my friends, and I hope you are as well. So, let's see. And joy is not one of the military habits that I brought back from the Marine Corps. But let's talk about military habits that we like.
Okay, let's talk about 10 military habits and hacks.
How many?
10.
Wow.
That will change your life. This is from New Trader U. It says military service instills discipline, structure, and skills that can greatly benefit civilian life. Adopting some basic military habits can help you be more productive, focused, and successful in your daily routines. Let's go through these 10 and let's see how many we do. All right. Number 1, make your bed every morning.
No.
I make my bed every morning. And if I'm out of town and I find out that my husband has not made the bed, I get irritated because I am controlling.
Do you make the bed? Do you make the bed when you're traveling and housekeeping is going to do it?
I absolutely do. And I do not let housekeeping in.
Okay. That's funny. Okay. I like to feel like a king. It's just me. All right, go ahead. Sorry.
Number 2, utilize a schedule and routine. I have certain things that are scheduled. I run every day. I pick up the trash every day. So far, I've woken up every day. How about you?
Yes, I have to. Right here.
Yeah.
This thing has changed our lives. Schedule routine. Yes.
Number 3, prioritize hygiene and grooming. I
shower at least twice a week. So
7 to 10 showers a day. Really working on that water conservation in Texas. Just
okay. You always keep a nice clean cut, so your grooming standards are.
Yep. I like to be hairless as a seal. That's really.
Can we move on?
Of course. Number 4, eat healthy and exercise daily. Do you do that?
No.
You have such picky eating habits. Oh my God. You won't eat avocados.
No.
You won't eat certain types of fish.
No, that's not true.
You'll eat all fish?
Yeah.
Okay. What other things won't you eat?
I won't drink coffee.
Won't drink coffee.
And tomato, like a whole, real, actual tomato, disgusting.
Okay.
And I think fungus. Sorry, mushrooms.
Don't eat mushrooms.
Those are my big ones right there. And it's the coffee one that drives people crazy. But is that healthy?
Can be.
You think coffee's healthy? Alphas?
Can be.
Help, alphas, chime in. I know all of you drink it, but do you think it's healthy? All right, sorry. I pontificated.
I try to eat healthy and exercise daily. I also mix in things like sardines on a Twinkie, which is a delicacy. Right. Do you maintain your gear and equipment? It's such a military thing to say, maintain your gear. You got your gear?
Yeah, I do have my gear. This is pretty clean. It's pretty clean right there. Yep. I guess my gear now is my tech. I keep it all updated and and I and I replace it too often. So yeah, I'm gonna say yes on that.
I'm going to say a big no on that. Unless you can say that I outsource it. My husband definitely keeps things up to date.
Whoa. Calling BS. You mother those Roombas.
Yeah. Well, I yell at the Roombas when they aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. My 7 Roombas. My husband will clean the Roombas. He'll often say on the weekend, well, it's time for them to have a cleaning. He'll take them in the back and he'll clean them out. But I just tell him to suck it up because you are here on my dime.
Literally.
Okay? You suck it up. You would still be on eBay if it wasn't for me. Is that the life you want to live, in a box? I put you in this nice garage? No, you will work.
And literally suck it up. Never mind. Go ahead.
Do you embrace discipline and structure?
No, not even a little bit. I gave that up a long time ago. I kept it all through college. People were not, they were afraid of me. I was very still regimented.
I kind of do and kind of don't. I live on both ends of the spectrum with everything. I operate only in extremes. Focus on the mission. Used to keep focused on the mission.
Huh.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Sometimes the mission's a nap, but I focus. I'm going to get there.
Get it down. Yeah. Do you work as a team?
Absolutely not. Hate it.
Me too. Hate it so much. Can't stand it. Other people just let us down.
You're speaking my language. All right, let's go.
Pay attention to details.
No, that's somebody else's job. I'm a big vision, big picture guy.
Big picture guy. I am more of a detail person.
Okay.
I like to get in the weeds, but it's only if something I'm interested in. If I'm not interested in, it doesn't exist. And I can't make myself do it.
Okay.
Number 10, do you have a positive attitude?
I have a positive attitude. I am resilient through, that issue.
Doing great. Beautiful.
Everything's fine. That's the thing about positive attitude. I don't trust it because I don't think they're telling the truth. Everything's fine. It's fine. I'm fine.
Yeah, I've started, when people ask me how I am, I sometimes I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm doing great. But now I'm just going to say I'm ambivalent.
Okay. I think you have a little final message for people on this top 10. And
I can tell them that embracing military habits and principles in your daily life will strengthen your discipline, health, productivity, and success. Prioritize tasks, maintain your environment and appearance, and work out diligently. Embrace teamwork and stay focused on the mission, whatever that is.
They've mentioned 9 things in that, and there are 10 habits. I'm just gonna, not that I'm obsessive about observation, but yeah. Okay. So these are all healthy, good things, good habits. Somebody who knows about good habits and the benefits of them, our guest today, our amazing freaking guest today, because today we're going to be joined by Dr. Jennifer Peña. Do not call her ma'am. Dr. Peña is a board-certified internal medicine physician, an Army combat veteran, a former physician in the White House Medical Unit, and an expert in digital and telehealth. We're going to be back to talk with Dr. Peña about all of this and so much more right after the break.
The American Legion is raising awareness about PTSD and veteran suicide by offering hope, camaraderie, and support.
Be the one to help end veteran suicide.
The goal of the American Legion's Be the One campaign is to destigmatize asking for mental health support.
Be the one to ask a veteran in your life how they're doing.
Be the one who saves one veteran.
Go to betheone.org and help the American Legion end veteran suicide.
Will you be the one?
Alphas, welcome back. I apologize that I might become speechless every now and then because I am in awe. I'm in awe of our guest. We have Dr. Jennifer Peña. Don't call her ma'am, but I was instructed to do that later, and she has outranked me in every aspect of life, including the military, so I will listen. May we be more casual? What would you like to be called?
Yes, please. I would like to be called Jen.
Jen, Jen. Okay, Jen, welcome to the Tango Alpha Lima experience. We are more than a podcast. We are a way of life. That's the first time I've said that. And in our way of life, Ashley Gudermuth also outranks me, so she gets to ask the first question.
Thanks for being here, Jen. It's wonderful to talk to you. So you grew up in Puerto Rico, right? And then you headed off on this life of amazing, went to Yale and served in the Army for a long time. Did you always want to be a doctor?
No, thank you, Ashley. It's such an honor to be here. And Jeff, thank you for having me. I grew up in Puerto Rico and I came from a military family. My father, my uncle, my grandfather, my cousins, my aunts, everybody's been in the Army. And yes, it was Army predominantly. But there's no doctors in my family. My dad is a retired pharmacist and he was in the Army, like I said, and my mom's a retired nurse. So healthcare definitely part of the family tradition, but I'm the first doctor. So I went to school at Yale for college after I graduated high school in Puerto Rico, and I was actually a Spanish major. So I started translating or doing medical interpreting at the hospital, and that's actually how I got interested in becoming a doctor.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's, I started doing that and realized there's a real need for, physicians in the Latino community. So it's more than just translating language. It's about being a representative of your culture and being able to treat your patients in your community. And so that was the motivation.
Yeah, that's wonderful because I hear all kinds of stories about people, the differences in different people and backgrounds, men and women, about how they might get a doctor that just has no idea about what that person went through or is going through or how to communicate them about their pain. So having people from those communities be doctors is huge.
Absolutely. I mean, medicine, there's medicine and then there's cultural understanding of medicine, and that delivery has to be very specific in order for it to resonate, with people. So I just being an interpreter realized there's a lot that's lost in translation, more so than just words. So very quickly that first year realized, yeah, I think I could do this and I should probably do this.
So let's there's so much here. I wish that the people that are consuming this content could see the sea of words here that describe your careers. So let's get on the on-ramp if we can. So you, after Yale, you went to medical school. So how does the military recruit somebody to then send them to medical school and get them to stay as long as you did?
Yeah, so
you go through that process.
Actually, I'll be very honest, and I've said this in the past. So I joined for the money and stayed for the mission. I mean, quite frankly, school's expensive. And I would have done ROTC as well in undergrad. Back then, there was not a ROTC chapter at Yale, so I wasn't able to do that. So I had just a lot of work study jobs. But really, I needed to figure out a way to pay for med school. So that was definitely the motivation. But I think it was easy recruiting for me too, because again, coming from that family tradition of service, it was something that I didn't even consider any other option when it came to finding a scholarship. I could have thought about other things or done other venues of funding school, but Army was an easy decision for me.
And I will forgive you for not being a Marine, because we don't have doctors. We keep them employed. Anyway.
That's right. Like that.
So how many years again? So you were medicine in the Army is got to be a very varied experience. You because you've done combat, you've done hospital work, and we're going to get to one later. How do you prepare for just routine hospital work versus combat work? I mean, that's very different.
It's such an amazing experience, right? Because you have your profession and then you have your career, and they're different things in the military. You're an officer, but then you're also a physician. And so you get these two experiences. During medical school, we're in the reserve. We were officers. I was a second lieutenant in the Army throughout med school. But you do get activated once a year, every year. So you go to officer basic training, you go rotate at hospitals. And so you start getting a sense of what it feels like to be a soldier, to be in uniform, what that means in addition to what you're doing, as a profession in medicine. When you go into when you graduate med schools, you go to residency, then you go on active duty. In my case, I did my residency at Walter Reed, or Walter Reed Classic, as the young kids call it nowadays, old Walter Reed, before we bragged with the Navy. And then you're not only in active duty, in uniform, serving service members at the military hospitals, but then once you graduate residency, then you get assigned to your first duty station, and then, you become deployable, and you start participating in all regular Army things during residency. So you train, again, for your career at the same time as you're training for your profession. But it's a wonderful experience, right? The civilian physicians don't ever get a chance to do, how to be, in my case, I'm an internal medicine physician by background. So how do you do internal medicine in the hospital, and then how you translate those skills into the battlefield to take care of your servicemen and women? It's a really amazing way to practice your profession.
That's amazing. But I kind of want to get to, there's so much to consume here. I said I was going to be tongue-tied in awe, and that's exactly what I am. When they're recruiting, because recruiting is a hot topic in the military right now. So if someone is graduating undergrad at a fine institution like Yale, and how do you find, and you grew up with a lot of military, so you probably had people to consult with, but how do you even know to call the Army and say, I'd love to be a physician for you?
Yeah, I'll tell you, still to this day, I think, no offense to our service or services, but we need to do a better job. I like to say that, at least for me as a Latino woman, having grown up in Puerto Rico, where you are still a little bit more sheltered, from these experiences or these potential opportunities, you have to see one in order to believe that you can be one, right? So I think for me, in my case, again, it was easy because I had enough exposure to know to look for these opportunities within the military. But I'll tell you, after I was in service, I became part of the recruiting initiative. Like, recruiters would call me to speak to prospective students and tell them about what that experience was like. Because, you can read the information on the website, or you can talk to someone who's actually doing it. I get goosebumps telling you this because it can make or break a recruitment opportunity for someone. If you tell them, hey, in addition to being in the hospital, you're going to have to go get dirty, right? You have to go to Camp Bullis for a few weeks and not shower, right? Like that's actually discouraging to some people, right? For others, it's like, yes, like I want to be able to practice medicine this way. And so I say, we have to do a better job of showcasing and the representation in the military, in medicine, so that we can reach more people. I think that goes a long way.
Wow. Yeah, I saw motivational speakers named Eric Thomas, and he was homeless, dropped out of high school, whatever, after, generations of witnessing that. And he said, and he kept going and he kept going and he finished college. It took him longer than normal, but he finished college, went on, got his master's, and eventually got his PhD. And everywhere he went, he said, if I get here, my kids are should expect to at least be here. Right. So if he graduated college, his kids had to at least graduate high school. And if he got his master's, they at least have to graduate college. So that having a vision and a goal personified in a human being standing before you is a very real thing. Okay, Ashley, sorry.
No.
I fanboyed out for a second.
No, I love it. It's so important to be able to see yourself in in what you want to be. It's because it's like that's what trailblazers are, right? You blaze the trail, and then other people can go, all right, that exists. Let me go jump on board.
Yeah, and they can do it better.
But going, that's just incrementally things get better and better. So a part of your doctoring is that you were the part of the team in the White House and the primary physician to the Vice President of the United States. Here's my question. First of all, is that a job that people want? Or is it when you get called up for that, are you like, oh, this is going to be a pain?
Ignorance is bliss sometimes.
Because it's got to be, it's going to be high profile. There's a lot going on. Okay. Second question is, did you ever have to tell any of these people, hey, sir, suck it up? Like,
oh, yes.
Oh, yes.
I love that question, Ashley. Well, so to the first question, I actually, again, right? Like, if you don't know these opportunities exist, you don't know to go for it. I didn't know this thing existed. Quite frankly, going to medical school, residency, it's not something that is, put out there. It's a special operations unit in a way, right? And so you have to be nominated by a general officer. I say this humbly, but truthfully, I was in the right place at the right time. I was the officer in charge of a clinic at Fort Belvoir, as you say, Ashley, where, I took care of general officers. So it was executive medicine. And I had exposure to these, GOs from the different branches. And so at that time, one of my patients was the then first female Surgeon General of the Army, who was a wonderful, wonderful patient. And she was actually the one who nominated me for that position. That's how I found out that this unit existed. Once I started researching it, to your point, then I'm glad I didn't know exactly all that it entailed, because it can certainly be daunting and maybe intimidating for some. It takes a long time to get the background clearances, as you can imagine. And in my case, having grown up in Puerto Rico, they send a team of people to go ask your kindergarten teacher if you were nice and a good kid. I remember getting calls from my neighbors like, are you in some sort of trouble? And I'm like, really? No, right. But it's something that, again, once you get there, it's definitely worthwhile. In terms of having to tell, the bosses to suck it up, anybody who knows me knows that I have no filter.
Oh, good. Heck yeah, dude.
So I definitely put the doctor hat on if I have to give them instructions.
Yeah, good. It's a way to do it. That it's so funny to me. You think about. I love the trajectory that the Army has worked out, that they make you be you're nominated by a general, so you're doing this executive healthcare, as they say, which means you have already spent a good deal of time dealing with difficult personalities. And people,
yes, ma'am.
think they know what they're talking about. They do not want to put down their scotch.
No, oh my gosh, it's like, yeah, I think you've done some of this work.
I've gotten to hang out. I've gotten to be talked at by a lot of generals. I should say I've had discussions with. They definitely do a lot of the talking, but not to rag on them too much. But
well, they can be the most rewarding patients too, though, right? Because if you're able to successfully treat a general officer and get their buy-in, kudos to you as a provider.
Good point. If you're able to build that trust, heck yeah.
Absolutely. But no, some of my, I should say, most trusted mentors actually came from that experience. And I know it's you're not supposed to kind of bridge that gap, but just because of the way that they are as general officers and having reached those levels of leadership, you inevitably end up with patients that end up teaching you a lot. So some of my best mentors to this day came from that clinic. I'm very grateful.
Wow. So I'm going to tell you the perception of just a guy. I'm just a guy. If I hear you're the physician for the vice president, this is what I think your life is like. And I want you to correct me because I know it's wrong.
I'll give you a thumbs up and thumbs down.
Oh no, I already know it's 2 thumbs down, as if Siskel and Ebert were both still alive. 2 thumbs down. It's every 6 months you give them a physical, and if they're okay, you don't do anything else for 6 months. That's is that 2 thumbs down? Is that 2 thumbs down?
So the physical's the easy part.
So what is the work life? What is the work life like in that very specific job where you actually have one patient.
Yeah, so you actually have more. So
Okay.
even as primary physician to the principals, as we call them, you still do tend to their family. They're your patients as well, and their staff. So those trusted folks that are in their bubble. You also treat Secret Service and the military members from the White House Military Office who are supporting the mission. So you have that umbrella of patients. But your primary focus is the principal. It's every day. It's a 24-hour 24/7 job. So you're on call all the time. That's what I tell, people who ask me about it. You're essentially on duty all the time. It's a huge responsibility, but again, very rewarding. You get to see things, you get to go places, you get to experience the 0.00001% of life experiences just because you're in proximity to these patients. But I will say this, you have to be careful with not allowing that proximity to power translate somehow into your position, because you are there to support them. You are not there to aggrandize yourself. And that is something that's sadly easily blurred when you find yourself in these positions of profile, high profile. So I always, the humble servant, right? You definitely have to have that mentality going into these positions.
Wow. And do you have other doctors on staff, or is it just you? Because I'm like, you don't get to take leave. You don't get to like what's happening with that?
Excellent question. Yes, we have a team. So it's actually a unit, and it's represented by all branches except Space Force, although that might have changed since I left.
And the Marines. we don't have doctors.
We don't, but we have Marine representatives, as well in the White House Military Office for sure. And no, we do. So we have, nurses, physician assistants, other physicians, medical administrators. So it's a whole big operation so that we can maintain that constant attention to our patients. We have, several different clinics where we tend to all of the people that work in the 18 acres, military, service, civilian. And so you are able to go home and have a meal, although not as often as one normally would otherwise.
And I'm sure they make you live really close, right?
Oh yes. I mean, you end up with a lot of passports when you leave the medical unit. That's for sure.
Nice.
A lot of travel. Yeah, that I would love to read a book of like the journals of all the doctors for the presidents. Year after year, you could see which ones were whiny, which like oh, Taft just ate bad takeout and now he won't stop throwing up. Like all the doctor.
Was there takeout during Taft? I'm just curious.
I mean, who can say when takeout was invented?
I love the alliterative nature of that. Taft takeout.
Yeah. Just to be able to see those things. And I wonder, when you got into that environment, did you have people pull you aside and be like, look, Dr. So-and-so really screwed up back in the day. Do not make this mistake.
Oh, yes. That's an excellent question, because you have a little bit of both ends of the extreme. You're going to have those that want to mentor you and help you not make the same mistakes. But equally, it's a lot of type A's in a very small circle, very high stress environment, and everybody in that unit is an overachiever. So you definitely get a lot of not always healthy competition, right? Everybody wants a little piece of that pie. Everybody wants to be that main doc, and so I think humility is really the key to success in that unit. You have to remember why you're there, and that just having the opportunity truly to be there is reward enough. So yeah, there's definitely a little bit of tough grandfathering in some time.
I just imagine
by some of the former docs.
I imagine other doctors running around just with a flu shot. Like, I'm going to give the president the flu shot. No, I am.
Wait, did you watch the movie? Yeah, that's exactly right. No, I'm going to give him the Tylenol because I'm going to give the Tylenol, right?
This will solidify our relationship. He'll remember me.
That's exactly right. In fact, I think that's a great approach. Is you should aim to not be remembered.
Yeah,
I think if you're remembered, that is a bad thing.
Bad thing. You've done something wrong.
That's right.
I love that we have not, and I don't want to, this is not a segue into it. I love that we have not talked about which vice president you served with, because I don't want this. I want this to be about your experience, not about I don't know, you couldn't fix it.
Yeah. Well, I
You couldn't
served under
fix
both.
them, or
Yeah,
like,
I actually served under both administrations. So I'm glad you asked that, Jeff, because I was half of my time, 2 years with the Obama Biden administration and 2 years in the Trump Pence administration. So it's really unique, right? Because we're in uniform. And so we are, and we're supposed to remain apolitical. And I think that's a wonderful thing that you don't necessarily get when you work at the White House as a civilian. So I got a chance to take care of all of them.
right, okay. Well,
Except President Trump. I didn't get a chance to take President Trump.
And you didn't. So for Obama, Biden, you probably didn't get to. Oh, you obviously didn't for President Biden because you had moved on.
Correct.
She had
So-
when she was vice president.
When he was vice
when
president.
when he was
correct.
vice president, yes. But that's like meeting him when he was on the junior varsity basketball team. Like, not the same.
Yeah.
It's not the same guy. It's not the same guy.
He looks exactly the same. What are you talking about?
So you moved now, and I could do a series of episodes on this White House thing because I have so many questions. But I do want I think I want to pivot to some of what I think is important to you. So you have all of you've acquired experiences and credentials, and you have this mission going into it to give back even before you received. So you took the Gen show back to Puerto Rico, and what can you tell us about your work there?
Yeah, so I always wanted to come home. Obviously, during my time in service, I wasn't able to. And then my husband actually just ETS from the Army last month. So we were committed to staying on the state side for him to finish his service. But I always wanted to come home, and that became even more important to me after Hurricane Maria. I actually had an opportunity to come shortly after Maria with Vice President Pence when he came to see the island. And it was so hard. I tear up because that day, to come back in that capacity and see my family and see the devastation. I mean, it was very impactful to me. And I knew I had to come back and serve here in any capacity. After that, we actually lost a lot of people. The census tremendously dropped. And a lot of that was actually healthcare personnel. Jobs went down. There was a lot of exodus of healthcare personnel looking for better opportunities. And right now we're at a tremendous deficit here in Puerto Rico. So all those things combined, I knew I had to come back and do my part. Since leaving the military in 2019, I've been in health tech and worked on a lot of telemedicine, which obviously through the pandemic, exploded and became such a mainstay of healthcare delivery. And I knew that in Puerto Rico, something like that kind of, care delivery model would be very helpful because of the deficit that we have. And so I'm here. I have been here for close to a year almost. I can't believe it. And I'm working on that. I work as a consultant for different telehealth platforms, including some federal grants, actually, to try to implement telehealth solutions here on the island.
So just, hobbies. I mean,
Hobbies. I almost joined the Guard, but decided maybe my time in uniform is over. I'm getting old.
Or not. Oh my God. What you're an expert? Well, your bio says an expert in telehealth. What?
Self-proclaimed.
Like, I love telehealth stuff because I don't like to leave my house. I do all kinds of things. Like I get eye exams online, full on eye exams. And I can just, from never leaving the house, get the eye exam and have the contacts and glasses sent to my house. And I can tell you that when I go to an actual optometrist, that makes them very angry.
Yes.
But what does that mean? What does being an expert in telehealth mean?
Yeah, so I should say that I guess I did start telehealth in the military. We use telemedicine in the military in forward deployed settings at the White House as well, because you're an N of one and you have all these staffers and all these people that are worldwide deployed that you have to attend to at times as well. And so it did start in the military, but I perfected it through the last, I can't believe, almost 5 years working in different sectors of telehealth. So it goes everywhere from having been there pre-pandemic, creating programs to deliver virtual primary care. So to your point, things that, leverage remote diagnostic testing. In fact, as I'm talking to you, I do a lot of, I shouldn't show the name, but I do a lot of
We don't
testing,
care.
remote diagnostics, at-home solutions. And why? To your point, convenience, but also accessibility. It's all about accessibility to care. We have huge care deserts, not only here in Puerto Rico, obviously, but in the mainland, where people can't access healthcare because they don't have a vehicle, because they have all of these social determinants of health that are prohibiting them from seeking care. And so, I've been right there in the weeds of developing these programs to provide comprehensive care to people. And so by just experience, I've just gained a lot of experience and have become have this knowledge now to be able to consult other companies and other groups and other healthcare systems who are trying to implement these programs. I know there's always somebody who knows more than you. I always just like to learn, and I'm one of those people who is never embarrassed to ask questions. So I think, I just keep asking, keep learning, and keep helping others, continue to build these programs. So I guess that's my definition of expert.
Can you do more? So I've used telehealth for things like if I get sinusitis and I sort of know that's what it is. And my experience with it is you'll get, like a 3-minute call or something like that. And you'll say, hey, these are my symptoms. And then they call in amoxicillin for you. Is there more that it can do now?
Oh my gosh, yes. And that's the fun part, right? It started with what you described, which is acute care. And now it has branched into all of these potentials. And let me give you some examples. You can do at-home hospital monitoring.
Oh, wow.
Right? And why was that necessary? Because in the pandemic, hospitals had no space. So we had to figure out how to move the people that didn't have to be in the hospital to a home setting and monitor them from home. You can do even hospice care. This is near and dear to my heart because I just lost my grandma last year after a year and a half in hospice care. To be able to leverage telehealth for hospice patients, for people with chronic conditions like heart failure, diabetes, cancer, and not have to move them out of the house, multiple times a week to go to appointments, when you can do these things at home. And again, now you have these amazing tools that allow you to bridge that gap that we, traditionally encounter in telehealth, which is that you're not laying hands on the patient. Now there's all of this augmented technology, and dare I say, artificial intelligence, right? That is augmenting that ability for us to deliver care. Not, we have to make sure it's safe, of course. We're just beginning. And to providers, I say it is hard, an adoption, right? To your point, like not everybody wants to take care of patients remotely, but it's here to stay. So I think we just need to find a way to adapt it to the way that we traditionally do care in our brick and mortar settings.
Yeah, I have a friend that is a heart surgeon. He was like a whiz kid heart surgeon. It was on infants. A baby heart surgeon. And he did so many, what a high stress job that was. But one of the things that he told me was the sooner you can get the people out of the hospital, the better they will recover. So if that's the case and we can monitor people from home, let's get them out, get them home.
Absolutely. People don't recognize that what we say in medicine, the morbidity and mortality of people who remain in the hospital for very long because of complications, infections, is very high. So it's not that we're kicking you out of the hospital. We want you out so that you don't get sicker, and obviously to make space for other patients who might need those beds. And again, with the technology nowadays, it's really amazing. I'll tell you as a side note, one of the federal grants that I'm working on here on the island is actually to implement a telehealth program for a hospital system that is in the middle of the mountains here in Puerto Rico. It has absolutely no access. The people live in very, rugged terrain. They don't have the ability to get to the hospital. They barely have internet. So we're using, those fancy satellites that shall remain unnamed. Everybody knows what they are, right? To be able to get a signal to take care of these people. And not only do we feel rewarded as providers who were able to bring the care, you should see the faces of these patients. They are just so happy that they now have the ability to see their primary doctor, their cardiologist, their endocrinologist for their diabetes, that we can send them medications to the home in the mail. So they're not doing that. That another one of the kits, name covered that I do is at-home lab testing that you can now send, and with a dried blood spot, do lab testing at home. I mean, the possibilities again are endless, and I think we're going to be able to take care of more people and bridge that access to care gap that is honestly ubiquitous around the world. This isn't just a Puerto Rico or US problem. This is a worldwide problem.
I love it.
I think the VA could use some more of this. I was told I was in the hospital a year and a half, whatever ago. And I noticed they told me sleep is the primary time in your life when you heal. But they do not let you sleep. They come take your blood, then they do your blood pressure, and they don't do it all at once.
That's right. Every 2 to 4 hours. Just to annoy
every 2 to 4 hours, 3 different people come to get your stuff, so you don't get any sleep. So I told them I was leaving. I go, I'm leaving because of your first advice, is that sleep is when I'm going to heal, and your actions afterward go against your advice. So I'm going to take your advice and leave.
That's
So
so
I think the
that
VA
is absolutely true.
the VA could listen to you. You've been on more channels on TV than I've watched. Let's see. I see CNN, MSNBC, BBC, Yahoo Finance, Univision, and Telemundo. Wait, I've been on Telemundo, if you can believe that.
Hey.
I speak no Spanish. I mean, I did in college, but it's translated into. I actually speak Spanish worse living in Southern California, because nobody will. If I speak Spanish to them, they reply to me in English.
You speak Spanglish.
Yeah, apparently I don't do it well enough to give them any confidence. So you would. So is this the tech side that you had told us that you said you're not doing patient focused physician work anymore? You've kind of moved into tech, and this is the area that you're talking about, correct? The telehealth.
So that's a lot of what I talk about, to the media. Also because of, the background in medicine in a political arena. Every time there's an election season, I get a lot of calls. But I do try to, that's hard, right? As service members, we know that we have an oath to our service, and we have to be, respectful, and a lot of that information is confidential. So I definitely remain impartial in those discussions. But no, I actually still do see patients, just for I'm very boots on ground, and I do like to, as we say, be in the trenches when we're developing these tools and these programs and these care delivery models. If I'm going to be at the table building these things, I need to experience it, because I need to make sure that it is something that can be consumed by our provider groups, that can be, palatable, that will be adopted. And if I'm just dictating and not actually using it, I always find that to be a little hypocritical. So I do make a point to see patients still sometimes.
Well, that's awesome. Ashley, what do you got? I mean, much like a doctor's appointment, our time is almost up.
Time is almost up. Thank you so much for talking to us. I want to just dole out this. You are officially a good person in all ways. And so thank you for everything you're doing and all the literally lives you're saving. And I might actually go to the doctor now virtually, now that you've told me they can do more things. So I will look into it. It's been like a decade, so I should go.
Oh, don't tell me those things. That's wonderful.
I hate making appointments. I hate, how you have to pick up the phone and make the appointment? I can't do it. And so it has led to me to just neglect everything.
Not anymore. You can do it online. And by the way, kudos to the VA. The VA is doing a wonderful job at implementing telemedicine. So I want to make sure I put that out there. But no, thank you. And from the bottom of my heart, thank you for the work you do. It's important for us as veterans to stay connected, to help each other out, and, to be at the forefront of all of these, at least in medicine, cool things that we can bring our experience from the military to help improve, these things out in the civilian sector. So I appreciate it.
Well, I'm going to thank you. I will qualify by saying I think you're a good person. You could walk off this camera and go yell at the waiter at your next lunch. I don't know what you do, but I know that you're an impressive human being. I'll say that. And I love when people are trailblazers. And because along the way, you could have left the military and taken the money. I mean, there was, I don't want to make you feel bad, but you left a lot of money on the table. I can tell you that right now.
My family still calls me and says, and you went back there to do what and why? I mean,
I'm
you
like,
can probably tell I'm sweating here in Puerto Rico.
right.
But,
You left a lot of money on the table, but you also made room for different people at that table. You also made sure they stayed alive for the next meal at that table. And you're also inspiring whole different tables. I just, God,
well, you
table
know how they say,
manufacture.
right? It's
Huh?
a cliche, but it's true that if you love what you're doing, you don't work a day in your life. So I really wanted to find that. I think, I found it. So it's fun now. If you saw the back of this computer, I have like 5 or 6 different computers, and I get to play with technology and toys and try to improve healthcare. It's really cool. It's like everybody who comes to my house is like, is that a gamer chair? I'm like,
All right. All right. She's
a
got some
fun kind of
nerd. She's got some nerd cred in there too. There, Alphas. So,
game.
all right. Well, thank you so much. I don't want to keep Diana Prince from becoming Wonder Woman and saving the world. So we are going to let her back out there so that she can serve more of you. And we're gonna take a little break, and then we're gonna come back. And we've already gushed all over Jen here. What are we gonna do now after the break? Maybe we'll just go, yeah, she was great. What are we gonna do next? But we come back after the break and we talk about what we've learned from you, or at least a little summary, because we've learned so much. And thank you for all the work that you do. And Alphas, we're going to be right back to talk about this experience a little bit and then get into rapid fire. And we're going to do all that after the break.
To look out for those that served, we must be relentless. To influence Washington to do the right thing, not just for our veterans, but for the country, we must be organized. To inspire the next generation of leaders, we must be united. We must be Legion, the American Legion. Join today at legion.org/join.
Welcome back, Alphas. And Ashley Gudemuth is there sitting. She appears to be sitting across from me, but she's sitting across the country from me. Across the country, what were your takeaways here today?
Oh, Dr. Peña was amazing. She's got so many cool stories, and her life she's so young and she's done so much. I can only imagine what she's going to accomplish.
I got to figure she'd just be tired and, whatever, but she just keeps moving. She keeps moving forward. And like I said, when we had her here, trailblazer, blazing trail after trail after trail. I think she would be bored if she just succeeded, on a typical mapped out career path. I think she'd be bored. So Dr. Peña is aces in my book. Okay, it's time. We've all been waiting for this. It's time to get to it. We are now going to enter into the range that we call rapid fire. Rapid fire number 1, shaving the Sergeant Major of the Army. There's an app for that. This comes from Army Times. The Army's top leaders are preaching a return to standards and discipline across the force, and soldiers are taking notice. For new Sergeant Major of the Army, Michael Weimer, that means shaving religiously, according to comments he made in an August interview with military.com. His remarks surprised some observers who hoped the former Delta Force operator may have a more lenient posture towards beards and his predecessors. I'm not going to read the rest of it. I'm going to say this. So the response to that was some people making a video game about shaving the Sergeant Major so they could instill, because his picture, he had his official picture when he was in Delta Force, which I didn't know we were admitting existed, that he had a beard. So they've taken that and they've made a video game where you use your cursor and you shave the Sergeant Major.
Did you see that he has 2 Purple Hearts and 5 Valor Awards, 3 Bronze Stars?
Yes.
So do you think they'll give him long sideburns?
No. They're going to make him disciplined.
Shave him.
Hardcore. He is very decorated, and I hope that he enjoys. I hope he enjoys this notoriety because it's just pure fun.
Yeah, it's cute.
There's no disrespect. There's just, All right, we're gonna move on. Way to go, Sergeant Major, for not shutting that down. Okay, rapid fire number 2. A veteran started a gun shop. When struggling soldier asked him to store his firearms, he started saving lives. This was a very long article on CBS News. And yes, I used a chat GPT summary because I was like, what is important to pull here? Holly's super producer is shaking her head, but I am training the human replacements. And I'm a little ashamed of it, but whatever. Caleb Morris, an Army veteran who served 2 tours in Iraq, opened a gun shop and shooting range called Rustic Renegade in Lafayette, Louisiana. When a struggling soldier asked him to store his firearms, Morris sensed something was wrong. He decided to hold the guns at his shop in case his friend ever came back. Later, another veteran came to Morris's shop and asked him to hold his guns as well. Morris set up a system to log the guns into the store's book and gave the veterans receipts. The initiative aims to help veterans who are in a bad spot and considering suicide. Chat GPT also adds in a little opinion, I don't know of whom, but it says more than half of all gun-related deaths in the United States are suicide, and the problem is even more acute among veterans.
Half. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's true or not?
Are we going to fact check Chat GPT?
I mean, I think we should. We shouldn't let the robots have all the power. That is I mean, what a great program that he was like, well, let's just start doing this for everybody.
Yeah. And I think it's great. He's not charging them for the service. They're taking up space that he could have inventory. I think it's outstanding. I also think that more veterans are likely to use this because it's initiated from their own will and wish, and not someone going, you need to hand over and I'll keep it for you. But so this would be the one thing, Caleb Morris, you were being the one, and we love it. And I said we. Do I speak for all of us here?
Yes.
Okay, good. Let's move on to rapid fire number 2. That would be 3. Ooh. Army colonel enforces the rules on and off the football field. Ooh, this is from the United States Army. It's outstanding. This again is a chat GPT summary of a very long article. I'm waiting for Holly to shake her head at me. All right. No shake as in disapprove. Colonel Larry Sanders, a military police officer and U.S. Army's Central Provost Marshal, is also a Division I official in a Power 5 conference who regularly officiates major college football games. He reminisces about his career as a football official and believes that working on a crew of 9 like-minded individuals in a stressful environment builds incredibly strong teams. Saunders started officiating various sports in 1992 at the urging of his civilian law enforcement supervisor, who encouraged him to stay involved with sports in the community. Now in his 23rd year officiating college football, he believes the ties between his military service and his times on the football field are a great example of why soldiers need outlets outside the Army.
Sounds great. Way to go, Colonel.
Way to go, Colonel. So think of all the taunts that referees get. Get your eyes checked. Yeah, I'm in the military. That happens once a year, whether I like it or not, sir. I appreciate you.
Go to the dentist.
Yeah, that's covered. That's covered. Don't quit your day job. I'm actually committed for quite some time, so
Really, I can't.
I will be keeping my day job. So I would love to hear him throw out some comebacks like that. That would be amazing. All right. You ready?
Take us out.
You
Hey,
tired of me yet? You want to go home?
Thank you, everybody, for listening to us today. Don't forget to subscribe to the Tango Alpha Lima podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you consume podcasts. Please leave us a review and give us a big old 5-star rating. And if you don't, I'm going to sneak into your car when you're not there. And I'm going to turn the sound way up, all the way to the top. And then I'm going to change all your presets to AM radio stations that you hate. They're the opposite of your political beliefs. And they just go on and on and on and on. And then you can't figure out how to turn them off, because when's the last time you've used a radio? You try to put a CD in and you're like, oh, I just bought this new car. There's no CD player. And then you don't know how to do the Bluetooth. And that will be the rest of your life until you have some sort of child that is more technically adept. Or in my case, a younger wife who then takes on all of the technological advancements that I have for my imaginary husband. We just want you to do that so that the world knows how much you love us. And if you have a guest recommendation, go to legion.org/Tango Alpha Lima. Click on the suggest a guest link, or I'm coming for you.
Wow. I suggest a guest, your imaginary husband. What about that? No?
You would say a resounding no thank you. Politely.
Or would you say it for him?
Oh, no, he could, but
Yeah.
it would be funny to see us go back and forth, because we are something.
We are
are
something. All right. Well, thank you so much. And as I asked you at the beginning, I hope that we brought you some joy today. Joy with our guest, joy with our banter, joy with our rapid fire, and joy with just being together virtually through these screens in the interwebs. Let us get caught in the interwebs again next week. Until then, I'm going to declare Season 4, Episode 184, Mission